and welcome to We Got a podcast about Dragon Ball from A to Z, from Earth to Namek to Sadala. We cover it all. My name is Randy.
And I'm Dolltakki.
And I am the AI-generated voice of Ken.
Ooh, well, that's fun. We're the world's
good AI too.
Super good.
Check out my
AI.
fingers. Aren't they perfect?
they keep messing those up. They can't get that right.
We're the world's strongest under the heavens trio to dangers here every other week to talk your ear off about fights, goofs, and everything else in the Dragon Ball cosmos. Doug, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just recovering from a weekend of drinking with the boys and having some good barbecue. So it was fun. Yeah.
That is nice.
I'm mentally okay, but physically I'm old now, so it's like my body aches in places. So
now, I don't know about you. I didn't get an invite to these barbecue situations.
I did get the invite. I'm sorry, Randy.
You did get the invite, Randy. I'm sorry.
Oh.
It's just specifically you didn't get the invite.
Even
Okay, well,
Andrew got it.
Yeah.
That's
well,
hurtful.
I gave it to Andrew to give it to you, but we both agreed to that. Yeah.
Okay, so I have to be angry at him, not you. Like
Yes. Just
okay.
keep passing the buck. I'm sure Andrew has someone else that he give it to give it to you. It's just a big mess, you know.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, logistics is hard when we're our age. Ken, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I did not watch Sonic 2. But what I have been watching, guys, are these AI voice covers of different like rock and pop songs where they have like Chris Sabat and Sean Schemmel, and they even like have voice models for John Bergermeyer or whatever, the voice of Tien.
And Carly Jr.
Anyways,
I know there's tension.
Maybe. Anyways.
So they have like all these voice models they do, and man, I just cannot get enough of Vegeta singing over Ed Sheeran. Like that is just
you gotta send that to us.
I'm not a dubby anymore, but man, that's just perfect. I love it.
We still know the voices. It's like growing up with an uncle. Like, that's my uncle's voice.
Have you made a playlist and you just got that going on all the time?
No, I do need to. I need to find a way to like extract the MP3s from YouTube and start playing this. But Randy, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I think last time we recorded this, I said I was in a holding pattern waiting for Final Fantasy 16. And last night, I completed Final Fantasy 16.
You finished it, you madman.
I did. Put in my time.
You wished?
I don't know. I mean,
really?
It's been a day, and I think as time goes on, it's been a day. I'm like, I think I like it more and more. There are, complaints that I have, but now that I'm not in the thick of it, it's kind of like, yeah, you know what? It's pretty good.
It's a good experience, I'm sure.
Yeah. If I had to say how I feel in terms of like, is the game as good as X? I would say I think Final Fantasy VII Remake was better. But,
okay.
Would you say that
gameplay-wise, story-wise, or just overall?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Ken, what were you going to say?
Would you say this was $70 good?
I guess it depends on who you are, because I'm like, numbered Final Fantasy, whatever you're charging, I'm there. So I would have, if they were like, it's 140, I'd have been like, cool, pre-orders in. So
now,
extra square.
Did you feel like you needed a scene where they're pushing a trolley down the road and
hey, that slapped. I like that. I love 15. So, I mean, I don't know. There's some things from 15 some lessons they could have learned. Like, I don't know, character banter. So that way I knew who these other people are that are in my party. Been like, what is your story? What are you into?
Yeah, the story didn't seem to grasp me very much, nor did the gameplay too much for me. But
I didn't.
Everyone seems to like it.
I didn't really like the models. Everyone looks like porcelain dolls.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. I mean, it's basically action combat, and so that was my jam. I think 7 Remake did stuff better overall, but I still had a lot of fun. Some parts felt like this is just the big boss fights and like the crazy spectacle from like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm games.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, it's like they did that, but better. Nice. So it's like, all right.
With the power of PS5 on full effect.
Right. So it's good. I'm excited for other people to play it and to talk about it with them. But we've got other more shonen craziness to talk about here. And that's some more Dragon Ball GT in our retrospective of auspiciosity. Ken, what's going on in the world of anime while GT is happening?
Yeah, so we kind of touched on this a little bit last week, where I threw in an episode of Ava that kind of threw Doug for a loop there. But I wanted to give some more context to kind of like what was going on in Japan at the time as far as like anime and manga were concerned. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to just catch up to kind of where we are in GT right now, going through the year of 1996. So January 8th, 1996 is the premiere of the Detective Conan, or Case Closed anime.
Whoa.
Which is still running today.
Yeah.
The manga started in 1994, also still running. January 10th, 1996, on a bit of a sour note, but Rurouni Kenshin started. Yep. Of course, that anime actually ended before completing the manga, but the manga started in 94. It was also still running at this time, which is what was going on in the world of Jump. That Sonic OVA that everyone loves and that Sonic Mania's art style is based on,
they look different. Mania is based off of the Sonic CD intro, and the Sonic OVA looks markedly different and not as good, but it's still great. I love it.
Sonic nerd.
We found the Sonic nerd, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go get my other Sonic statues and I'll put them on that shelf there.
You have more than we do.
So both parts of that OVA came out January 26th and March 22nd. Sailor Moon, Sailor Stars, the final season of Sailor Moon, started on March 9th, 1996. The manga started in 92 and was still running at this time as well. So I guess it goes further than the anime did, or I don't know all the
They were made concurrently, which is weird because the anime isn't based on the manga. They're just kind of like inspired each other as they went along.
So like a kind of looser version of what happened with Ava a little then.
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Okay.
So.
And then, now there was a whole laundry list. Of course, it was not just these 5 anime that came out at this time, but I just went through a quick list and just kind of what jumped out to me. And the last one that jumped out to me before the set of episodes that we're at is The Vision of Escaflowne. Started on April 2nd, 1996, manga 94, and was still running at this time. So kind of a snapshot of what television and manga was like in Japan at this time for people that were into GT. Were probably also into some of these things as well.
Is Escaflowne like a series or is it a movie? Because I know I caught something. Okay, maybe I caught the movie then, and like that wasn't like that threw me for a loop because that was like the first very violent anime I've ever seen as a kid. I'm like, whoa, they do this in Japan? It's awesome.
I was always thrown off by how large their noses were.
Yeah,
like, this looks weird. And then I went to watch Dragon Ball instead, which looks nothing like any other anime. So.
Right. Escaflowne is good stuff, though. You should watch it, especially if you.
Watch it again.
Yeah, I would recommend it, Doug. It's short. It's 26 episodes, and then there's the movie, which you can watch if you want. It's just a retelling, but totally different tonally and everything.
I might just do the movie just because it's more compact and everything. And I just, for the nostalgic purposes, I saw it with like a good friend of mine back in the day. Like, he's like, you got to check this out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, whoa, Japanese anime is cool.
Yeah, it was one of the Fox Kids shows, I think, at the time.
It's true. And if you wanted to go back and watch it, Doug, there are 2 dubs, one from the 90s done by Ocean Studios. So you would hear like Alan.
Familiar voices.
Yeah, Alan is original Vegeta. So it's it's wild and fun. So it's a good time. Anyway, we've been watching some GT and we got to catch you up because we're on episode 11 now. We're really trucking here. So here's what's happened so far. Emperor.
New lore.
Yep, new lore, guys. It's just dropped. Emperor Pilaf, using the Black Star Dragon Balls, accidentally wishes for Son Goku to turn into a child. After the wish, the Dragon Balls scatter across the galaxy and must be returned to God's temple within 1 year, or else the Earth will explode. Goku, Trunks, and Pan rocket off into space and meet Giru, a small robot who eats their dragon radar. After finding 2 Dragon Balls, Goku and friends face off against the Para Para brothers, a trio of dancing siblings. Our heroes win the day, only for Pan and Giru to separate from the gang as they head toward Planet Lood and the fearsome Mochi Mochi. So we're doing episodes 11 through 15 this go around that originally aired May 8th, 1996 to June 12th, 1996. And Ken, why don't you tell us what's episode 11 about?
Well, first, I want to get like big picture.
Oh, let's go big picture.
Yeah, big picture of these 5 episodes. How are we feeling?
I want to know, Doug, because Ken and I have been talking on the side.
I enjoyed these episodes.
We did it, Reddit!
Surprise!
Yes! We did it!
It was actually, I wasn't like bored out of my mind, and I was like less eye rolly and more like, oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
I think it helps that, like, I think the last time I saw GT was dubbed, and because the intro guy is so like serious, like this time on GT, it feels like it would take itself too serious. It sets the tone to make it feel like it takes itself too seriously, but without that, it just feels like a fun adventure.
I will say the last note I have, because I was taking notes as I was watching these episodes, the last one after this set of 5 says, "These episodes are incredible. Best ones so far. How can anyone hate GT when these exist?" So,
I don't know about that.
Doug, before you, Grandy and I were on this call briefly before you showed up, and I said, I hope we don't have to bully Doug.
Just gang up on me. Just with the whip in theme.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so episode 11, Lood's Curse. Pan turned into a doll. After a surprise takeoff, Pan and Giru blast through space on the Power Brothers ship to Lood's planet and make their way towards a strange castle. Inside, Pan and Giru are separated, and Pan is ultimately turned into a doll by Mochi. Before she can be sacrificed, Giru meets up with Goku, Trunks, and the Power Brothers to request help. As punishment for their failure, the Power Brothers are turned into dolls and sacrificed to Lood. Trunks and Goku take on Mochi and his Leon, leading to the reveal that the mastermind was actually Mochi's whip, Mochi!
Who saw that coming? No one saw that coming.
Oh, I saw it coming.
I had forgotten about it. When the whip started talking and transformed, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's what happens here."
The KW.
Yeah, because I knew about the yellow version of Mochi, and I was like, "How does this mage guy transform into him?" And I just totally had forgotten that it was his whip all along.
Yeah. I feel like that was unnecessary. I feel like he could have just taken off his cloak because he was 95% hidden. It was just his eyes. He could have just taken his cloak off and then been like the whip guy. It was
what
so
are you
weird
buying, stranger?
That twist. Yeah, he kind of does give off that vibe.
I thought Mochi was great. The way that he fought, and he was a trickster, and then Goku comes up on him, he just pulls out a gun, shoots Goku square blank in the face.
Why did that gun turn into a bad guy too? Like, it should have been all his weapons that turned into
Well, they needed more episodes.
That's true. I liked at the start of this we're on this ship getting sent to Lood's planet. I like this pairing off of Pan and Giru because they don't like each other. So it's always fun when you pair off characters that aren't best buds. Because okay, we've got our own conflict that we have to deal with on top of the situation we're in.
And it's nice to see Pan, who for the 10 episodes that we've been in is trying to prove herself as, she's 9 years old, but prove herself as an adult. And for her to finally be separated from herself, it's like, well, what can you do? Let's see you. Let's show us.
Which is funny. I think when she does enter the church or whatever it is, like it cuts away from her being caught. It comes back and she's just beating everyone up. Yeah. It's just like no problem.
Yeah. She's got it handled pretty well. I just have a note here that says Pan kicked some ass for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was really impressed with this, even just the opening of this episode, because it's first of all, it's drawn really nicely, so it looks great. And just like the chaos it's just begun. Like it's just they're just blasting off into space. Like you said, the two pair of people that don't like each other. And so, danger pan.
What's the line when Mochi is talking to the Power Brothers or something, and then he's like, "It's okay, you didn't have to worry about that. That's what you would want me to say, isn't it?" Or something.
Oh yeah, he was like, "Psych."
I loved it. I loved the character interactions. The whole bit where Giru's like running around, and then he steps on Pan.
That got a genuine chuckle out of me, like an out loud, like, it was great. So funny.
Just shows you're having fun, man. This episode is full of fun, not just the action. Like there was that cutting back to like what Goku and Trunks are up to, and Goku just has the Power Brothers tied up and on a leash.
He's like, "Come on!"
And then they're like getting shocked or whatever, and he's laughing.
Do you think it was strange that they let them put their gear back on?
Oh, is that what that?
It is a bit weird, but like I don't know, like.
It's like you look naked without it. You need to put those vests back on.
Like you guys are gonna need to have these on for a future episode, so leave them on.
Yeah.
Or what I do like is that they kind of bring them back, but we'll get to that later. But they serve a purpose. But why does the spaceship have like an electricity the outside of the ship button?
That's cool,
just out
man.
there.
Bulma thinks for every step of the way.
Every situation.
She's got it.
There's got to be a scientific reason, like maybe it like helps get through electrofields in space, so through travel. But whatever.
And we just found a new way to use it, which is torturing our enemies.
Yeah. Who are biting onto the spaceship for dear life.
It's such a little thing, but at the end of this episode, when Muchi reveals himself, Trunks says, like, oh, he has incredible ki. And I'm like, oh, yeah, this is a show about strong people fighting strong people. And it was just nice to touch on that.
I kind of don't like that they bring that up. I'm like, don't remind me that there's power scaling. Even though I don't care about it, it's still like, oh, I was having fun until you brought that up again. Not stop having fun, but it's just like, oh, now I have to think about how that's so weird. Oh, this guy's whip is as strong as Cell? Okay.
There's a lot in these episodes where I'm like, yeah, this is kind of a really an actual throwback to OG Dragon Ball, where I've forgotten all of the stuff that they've gone through in Z and like what tone that had for like fights and stuff. And I'm just like, I had to like the adventure. And I'm kind of with you, Doug, of whenever they throw that out of like, oh, he's got a big key. Like, oh, that's right. This is a thing that we do in this show.
Yeah. But to your point, Randy, I think there was a moment where I'm like sitting there just watching the show and I'm like, this feels like Dragon Ball in space. And I don't mean like it's weird how, because of course it's Dragon Ball in space, but it doesn't feel like Dragon Ball GT. It just feels like, oh, this is just a Dragon Ball characters, but they just happen to be in space, and it just feels nice, like an adventure.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of stuff that happens in Dragon Ball, and this is kind of reverse for things that will happen later. How do y'all feel about our God of Destruction showing up so early in this franchise? I mean, isn't that wild?
That was almost gonna be my name when I introed myself. Oh, Doug, I'm the other God of Destruction. It's just everyone is a God of Destruction apparently. So
I think Toyotaro, when he was still Toyable, in his blog around the time Battle of Gods came out, he drew some artwork of Beerus and Lood together. The two Gods of Destruction.
Really? Oh, I think that rings a bell.
I mean, Toyotaro. He's such a GT stan, so
right.
But actually, doesn't it turn out that Lood is actually like, I think in the last episode of this kind of arc, we see Dr. Mew like creating Lood from like a cell. What if he like took that from Beerus and like it cultivated into like this Lood character? So it technically is like a God of Destruction. You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm soy facing so hard right now.
Man, that's good headcanon. I like.
It could be, I thought it was just a machine. They kind of say it's a machine, but then they shows the actual process with Dr. Mew with like an actual messing with DNA or whatever.
I like so much about this just being off the wall bonkers. Like that we've got a God of Destruction. Well, actually, it's a different thing. Like then we've got this big lion monster. It's
straight
like, oh
out of
shit,
Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
that's what
we've got to deal with this, and then they instantly do. And my notes as I'm going along just say, a big lion. Oh, he's dead. Mochi is dead. Wait, he's a whip? Wait, he's a man with a huge key? Like it just keeps going.
I was excited for the lion. I'm like, this lion looks pretty cool. Like he's got Super Saiyan hair and everything, and just funny how just Goku just decides to blast the roof. Not even the lion. He blasts like the roof and just crashes rocks on top of him. And then it turns out he's a robot, so it's cool. We can show this death.
Yeah.
It's a robot lion.
Don't worry, we'll get some non-robot death coming up for you in a few episodes.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it is kind of foreshadowing that then Lood is also a machine. Like that is the foreshadowing of that.
Right. I don't have any other notes left for this episode. So is there anything we're missing that you guys want to touch on?
Just in general, I was hoping that with like the whole interesting power scale and I can sense his ki. I kind of wish that the adventure was like Goten, Trunks, and Pan. Like Pan, the 9-year-old, and then Trunks and Goten, who like haven't been training, let's just say, and so then they are kind of like weaker. So it makes more sense for them to have to find different ways or like muster up the strength. Because with Goku, there it kind of feels OP.
Right. I even have. Sorry, Ken. Go for it.
I was gonna say I'm at the point in this show now where I'm starting to enjoy the soundtrack. But the music placement is still atrocious.
Yes.
There's a part in this episode where Goku and Trunks burst in, and then it's a tense moment, and then it's
yeah.
And it's like okay, whoa. Like this is not the right track to play in this moment.
Yes.
No.
everything about this, the music placement, you're right, 100% is so bad in this. But the intro of episode, what is it, 11 that we first saw, or 12, whatever it was.
11 was our first one.
The song sounded great, and it was like, oh, I'm ready for this adventure. And then just the music placements are just so bad. It's unforgivable.
I've been feeling as we've been going through these episodes that the music, I agree, has gotten kind of better. I don't think it's just like I've gotten used to it. The placement is bad, yes, at some points, but like overall, I'm like, I guess I don't really have that too many big complaints about Tokunaga stuff anymore. From at least
I'm on the other side. I don't like the placement, and I don't like the music. It just doesn't.
Okay. See, when I say I like the music, I don't like it as a Dragon Ball.
Fair.
I could listen to this stuff on its own if there was an actual release of it and not just like cobbled together versions. But I don't like it set to Dragon Ball.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But
fit.
Is it still an active detriment to the series for you, or is it just like, it's inoffensive?
If I'm sitting here and noticing that a track doesn't fit the moment, then yes, that's a detriment to it.
It literally pulls you out of the moment, and you're like, oh, this song. Yeah,
but like otherwise,
too much.
When the placement isn't bad.
So, like, to say something doesn't sound like Dragon Ball, right? Like, in Super's defense, that music doesn't sound like Kikuchi, but it sounds appropriately set to what's going on in an episode, any given episode of Super. Even if you're hearing Kachi Kachi Daze a million times, the moment when it hits is probably the right moment to play that. But GT, I cannot say the same thing. It's music that doesn't sound like Dragon Ball and is played at the wrong time.
Yeah. There's got to be a fan edit somewhere out there with Kikuchi music. Well, man, I guess maybe I have to do it myself.
You can only do it with a dub. That's the only way to isolate the voices.
Oh, dang it.
And someone has done that. Yeah.
I've seen it. It's pretty interesting. I think I posted it in the Discord, actually.
Yeah. It's so good that I would almost consider watching all of GT dubbed. Set to Kikuchi.
Let's just...
That's the next time we go around.
Let's just learn Japanese and redub it ourselves. And then...
Okay, let me hear your Nozawa impression. Oh, we use AI voices. Never mind.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, AI voices. Yeah. Except for the robots, we use our actual voices, but for everyone else.
I like that twist. So, episode 12, I feel my first note is that this episode's recap goes on crazy long. Like, the music has to like loop as they're continuing to talk about, like, well, here's what happened last episode. And I'm like, is this a crunch? Is this from a crunch for time, or is it because the last episode I feel like a lot of crap happened? We have to
This is where I need to be real with you. I usually don't watch the recaps.
No, I don't.
Skipping things?
It's so weird to like go from like, okay, I think 2 minutes and a half, I think it should be around the time. Nope, there's still another minute left of recap time. Like 3 or 4 minutes of recap, like plus the intro, but still, I think the intro's like a minute 30, at least.
It's 2 minutes, and even then, only sometimes I will watch Dan Dan. Sometimes if I'm in the mood, but I usually just skip the recaps.
Wow.
Look, I got things to do. Time is money, and that's what I'm is.
Well, that's fine. First thing I had to say, Goku's Waku Waku. Like, finally. He's here. We said it.
And
we said the
whip guy is like, oh, you're going to be Waku Waku, all right? Or
what's the name of this episode?
Yeah, you're right. We needed to say that whole thing. So, episode 12, the Oracle of God is super annoying. Lood maneuvers. As Goku and Trunks battle and defeat Muchi, the leader of Loodism, Dolltakki sets a plan into motion to sacrifice all of Lood's followers at once so that the Saiyans can be defeated, except for Pan, who he has taken as his own doll to dote on and play with.
I like how short this episode synopsis is. Mm-hmm. And even after, you did a first pass and I kind of went through another pass on these synopses because we're not just stealing from Kanzenshuu anymore.
We can't.
They don't exist. I went back and I'm like, surely more happened in this episode. And then I just like skipped through the episode real quick on my computer and I'm like, oh no, this was like just like an action thing. And then Dolltakki giving a long speech. Like it was really, not a whole lot happened here. Except for the existence of Uchiyama, continued existence of son of a bitch.
Is that the art who drew this, or who's that guy?
Now, I will say that he seemed relatively hands-off this episode. I mean, he was still there, right, in all the close-ups, but there was a lot of stuff with Muchi where you could tell Uchiyama hadn't done any corrections on him, and the flow of animation in this episode was pretty good too. Like, there's the whole part where Goku's like running down a staircase, and the staircase is like warping beneath him.
Oh yeah,
running. That all looked pretty good, and I think the motion and animation of this episode was actually pretty top notch, minus Uchiyama's corrections or individual drawings anywhere.
I can see that. Yeah, it's just a very stark contrast from going the previous episode to this one. It's just like, oh gosh.
Thankfully, I felt like in these 5 episodes, there was only one stinker for art, and it was this one.
It was just this one, yeah. Did my version of the show skip, or like when Goku turned Super Saiyan, it like panned up twice, like one halfway and then one again? Maybe it was just my copy, but I wouldn't doubt that GT tried stretching for time for that.
I don't recall that.
Check this form out.
Oh,
yeah, but I don't remember. Maybe, I don't know. It didn't stand out to me if it did.
It did to me. I'm like, why? I'm like, first of all, this looks ugly with whoever drew it. Yeah. And then they want to show it off again. Like, oh, you gotta see it again from the exact same angle. It's like,
right. So he transforms in this fight, taking on Muchi, who's now this weird yellow whip-armed dude. And I have to say, like, whip arms, levitating stuff with his mind and all these things. It's cool to have an enemy that just has neat powers rather than just, I'm the next strong guy and I fire ki blasts and I punch real fast. Like,
but I do wish it was more show don't tell. He literally does it and then explains it. My power, like, oh yeah, I can move things. I'm like, we would have gotten that if you just had not said anything and we saw you moving the tiles with your mind or whatever, but whatever.
Classic shonen though.
Right.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess I'm asking for more than I deserve, but I also wish they did more. He did more creative things with it. He didn't. And then later on in the episode, Goku and him fight in a flight battle. So like he has nothing to whip to be able to manipulate later.
True.
Sets himself up for failure there.
It's true.
See, Goku is a genius martial artist. And that's how he.
That's what it is. Yeah. Our boy knows.
He even uses a sword in this episode, which was wild. Like, has he ever used a sword before? I'm trying to think.
Wow, that's a quiz question right there. That's a trivia.
Yeah. All right, well, Senpai.
Yeah,
he has to answer that one. We finally get Trunks Super Saiyan for the first time in the series.
Yeah.
Right off the heels of him saying that he's weak because he hasn't trained in a while, which I like. Addressing those handicaps again.
Mm-hmm. He did the Spider-Man thing. He's like, come on, Spider-Man, with like lifting up the thing off of his...
Exactly.
I need to lip sync that up or something, because that's what I thought.
I will say I like that he had mentioned, like, oh man, I haven't been keeping up on my training, so this is kind of rough. I wish that he was rusty enough where he couldn't transform, or like, this isn't the moment, because I feel like you could have done something really well with the show of having Trunks being unable to transform. Maybe also have that be a handicap for Goku being turned into a little kid. Like, he can't at all. So now it's like everybody's on the same level, because like Pan never transforms for whatever reason.
I was hoping at least like when they were both transformed and they kind of de-transformed because the thread is kind of gone, or no, the thread's still there, but they kind of both just de-transformed for some reason. I was hoping, because it showed Goku first and then he de-transformed and then it showed Trunks. I was hoping Trunks was still Super Saiyan. I was hoping that it would tell kind of like a little story where like, oh, Goku's in his new body right now. He can't really contain that Super Saiyan power right now. Right. Showing that Trunks still can, because that's what he's just used to, but
yeah, I just think narratively you could have done more fun stuff with that, because then you wouldn't have to create new forms, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we finally got to where we were before. Save it for like a big bad, and then also it helps with this whole thing where, Doug, you had brought it before, like, don't bring up that they got big ki, because that's just going to remind me of all these big fights, because then I'm remembering, oh, that's right, these guys have transformation, can be crazy strong. Why are any of these people a problem?
Yeah, exactly.
So, I wish they didn't do it.
Well, you know what? I wish this episode didn't do is all of the really creepy stuff with Dolltakki.
Yeah.
In our hashtag lost episodes moment.
Right. I was so close to like defending him until a certain point. I'm like, dude, this is just a guy with a hobby that took it too far. I'd look at myself and that's what it is. But then
I mean, I did say, Doug, you should cosplay as this dude.
I mean,
that was before I saw the episode that I'm like, no.
The whole thing is upsetting, but when he goes to take Pan's clothes off, Pan says, no one will want to take me as a wife.
As a wife now. Which, the very Japanese saying.
If you don't understand the subtext there, is that she is worried about losing her virginity.
Right.
which
Zoinks.
is yeah.
Yes.
Yikes.
The point where he almost takes her clothes off, like I physically like took it back.
Yeah.
And, like,
I'm calling the cops.
Yeah.
well, because it went two up, like it was just super weird.
Yeah, man.
It's creepy. It's really bad. It's super uncomfortable. I just, you could say about how it was a different time and a different culture, but I don't understand how this aired on TV anywhere at any point in time with that line in there. I think with that line not in there, you could have played it. Yeah, it's creepy. You could have played it a little bit more innocently. But when you have Pan like explicitly bring attention to something like that, it's like, this was.
Well, yeah, because for what's his name, Dolltakki, it doesn't seem like his intent is that pervertedness. He really just likes the dolls and like changing outfits and stuff.
Right. That's kind of like how I maybe in my brain rationalize not being as like, and like being revolted at everything. Of like, okay, he's not in this for the sexual gratification. It's more just
if it was just a toy, but it used to be a human, so it definitely does not vibe.
I think he has that weird separation in his brain, but that's just, I don't know, me coping.
I think I could
trying to get through it.
I could have been there with you except for the Pan line. I think that just
really
pushed it too far.
She's saying that it's not like, he's not there.
Yeah, but I don't like living that thought with her.
Right.
Like,
that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like disregarding her feelings, but I'm just like,
Dolltakki's putting us in that position right now.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. Absolutely.
It was kind of cool how he defended her against Dr. Mew though. Like he was very like, genuine. I thought I kind of wish he was more like got the courage to be instead of cowering, being like, no, don't take my pan. I wish he was like, no, I'm not gonna let you take my pan or whatever. But instead he just cowered.
Is that episode 13?
Yeah,
I don't
think episode 13.
Right.
That's near the end. Yeah.
But do we have anything to say about 12 before we move on to that then?
No, I'll skip it in future rewatches. I'm not ever watching this episode again.
No need to. Nope.
That's fair. I mean, it looks bad. It makes me feel bad.
Is this the one where Lood does get awakened though?
No, it's the next episode.
Yeah.
The next one. Okay.
Yeah. So, 13. Before we make my mistake, who wants to take that one for reading it?
Ken, you can do it.
Okay. This guy's in charge. The mysterious scientist Mew. With his followers sacrificed, Dolltakki awakens Lood, the god of destruction, to wreak havoc on Goku and Trunks, while the cult leader runs off with Pan in hand. Dolltakki contacts the enigmatic Dr. Mew, who created Lood, and wants the Dragon Balls so that he can rule the galaxy. After learning Dolltakki awakened Lood before reaching his full power, Dr. Mew transforms Dolltakki into a doll as punishment before casting both him and Pan into Lood's energy container to charge the large god to full power.
Yeah, man.
Yamamuro! Yamamuro! He kills it this episode.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible.
Height of his power.
From the first frame of the light shining from Lood to like the back of Goku and Trunks' hair, I was like, this is phenomenal looking. It's amazing.
This episode, top to bottom, looks great. It has bespoke animations for everything. Like, this, people forget, like, Yamamuro is a joke now, right?
Yeah.
But Yamamuro, in this era, what I call, like, the GT and the Daizenshu era, was at the top, absolute top of his game. Could not be touched, and I still like. Yeah. I don't think anyone today can touch him either. Like we talk about Shintani and everything, that's a different style. But like this classic, what you think of as like the Dragon Ball Z style, right?
This
like
is it.
This is it. I don't know if it's going to get better than this episode. This is the best looking episode so far.
Chat.
I hope so, but
Yuya Takahashi is. He's watching the chat. Yeah, he's here. He's like, oh, you don't think anybody can touch him? Really interesting.
You think you know GT?
When Lood is getting awoken and we have these shots showing like his body and stuff, I just wanted to know, Ken, do you hate the shutter sound?
So
when that's
in my notes, I wrote, I like the shutter effect.
Of course you did. Oh, God.
Wait, what is that? Explain that to me.
So, listen, if you haven't listened to the Kanzenshu podcast where we talked about the Bardock DLC with our buddy Mike Vegito EX, there's a song from Bardoc's special called Solid State Scouter, and in it you can hear like a shutter sound that's supposed to be like the Scouter sort of thing. And Ken, why don't you in your own words, what did you say about that?
Okay, Doug, if you got a song called Solid State Scouter, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to put a sound effect in that song, should be like a Scouter beep or like...
Yeah, when you push the button on the Scouter.
But instead, that song uses a camera shutter sound, which is not the Scouter sound.
It's not this? It's not that?
It's in the Discord is not picking that. Well, I'm going to assume I could hear it. Right. If you're listening to the Spotify version, pretend we all heard that together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better. Barely.
Not working.
Still nothing.
Anyway.
Not picking up on our end. So
that's what I hear.
Yeah. So here in this episode of Grand Tour, when the shutter effect happens, you see a like a camera shutter almost.
Yeah.
So it's a proper sound effect to use in context and not to emulate a Scouter going off in a song called Solid State Scouter, which that song in the Kakarot DLC, Douglas, does not use that sound effect, and which is why I think that is the superior version of that song. So
gotcha.
That track.
Ken, I'll forgive you.
In hell.
But I'm not gonna forget.
Never forget.
Goku thinks that Lood has a funny face, and I think that's classic. Like, we've always got to remark on people's faces.
Dude, speaking of faces, they just copied and pasted Dr. Giro for Dr. Mew.
Oh my god, it was
just put sunglasses on him. That's a new guy.
Not even different. Same exact facial hair and hairstyle.
I mean, of course that will pay off later, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Way down the line. But here I was just like, this guy is straight up like, come on, what are we even doing here? Like the fashion choices being made here, the facial hair, his whole role of creating these mutants or androids. Like,
yeah. Okay. Scientists have one look, and that's it.
I mean, his personality is different, and we'll see that in the next episode. But
I'm glad his voice was so like stark different from Jiro. Like it's definitely a little more maniacal.
Yeah, I wonder how the dub handled it. If they just kind of went like, "I am Dr.
Might have been
Mew,"
the same Jiro voice actor, probably.
They've only got 5 of them at the time. 5 different actors.
That's exactly.
You know, I just had a thought. I'm looking over what I had said, and I had said, "Big robot has key trunks. Explain." And then I forgot that later on they're like, "Oh, he's a mutant," and like there are living cells in there. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
But I don't think they had the hindsight or foresight. Like the actual people making the episode didn't think that. They just want to like express how powerful he was, and the fact that he just did like the laser eyes through the wall, and then it made like a big explosion in the outside. I'm like, that means nothing to us anymore. Like, is that supposed to mean like, oh my god, the big explosion? We've seen big explosions for 291 episodes already,
and it always looks cool, Doug. That's why people like fireworks.
Why aren't
does
you
look cool,
into this shit?
But it has no scale of how threatening this guy is. They keep doing this, and like that doesn't mean anything to me. Someone just doing one little key blast outside will do the same thing, and it's okay.
I don't know what to say, man. I think it's dope.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what else I think would be? You know what else I think would be dope? Bandai makes all these toys. I don't think once did they ever make a Pond doll in that style, did they?
Not in that style. Well, no, probably for good reason. Oh no, where's Ken going?
Ken?
No, this is where we find out he's Kentucky. He's in Kentucky.
He's Kentucky in Kentucky. This looks like a firm vinyl figure. This looks like a vinyl figure.
This ain't no doll.
Panchan.
Yeah, but I mean like cloth and like stuffed with
rub
stuff.
over the face.
Yeah.
Can you do her hair in new ways? Can you take the bandana off?
No.
I was like, oh, as soon as the episode started, I'm like, oh, is there like a pan figure I have? I'm like, yeah, but and then the episode kept going. Like the episode before, I'm like, I don't want to even pretend to be that guy anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But I do have my pan figure.
Really embracing it, and I like that.
This is new, by the way. Pan figure. Be jealous.
This is old, by the way. Pan figure. Kind of crappy.
It's vintage. which is it's old and it's bad, but you should like it.
I broke my Master Roshi figure trying to find this the other day.
Ooh, what do you mean?
So I pulled this out of the closet and I went to go put it up on the thing. And when I did that, I knocked Roshi's sunglasses off of the Figure Arts Roshi. And so I tried to put them back on and they slipped off again. And I was like, well, maybe they're just not tight. And so I was like, well, let me just squeeze it just a little bit. And they snapped right here in between the eyepieces. So I got to get some. It's an easy piece to fix. It is fixable, but
I didn't know that's what you meant when you said you broke your. Earlier, you told us that you broke this Roshi. I thought you owned like actual for yourself.
Yeah,
so
same.
You were out and about.
This pan figure, and I have to remember we have audio only listeners. This pan figure, this is the Jack specific pan Dragon Ball GT figure that I'm talking about.
Wow.
This pan figure broke my Roshi figure, so
just like a bratty teenager, preteen.
Not worth it for the bit, I assume.
No regard for any other human life.
No. She's my least favorite character now.
What happened in this episode though, besides it looking pretty?
We got a snappy new instrumental Don in song.
Oh,
and I was like, ooh, a new version.
Yeah.
I like this.
I was pretty happy with that.
Right? Same here. I mean, it was a lot of action because we had this big old robot fight and we had 2 Super Saiyans at once to take him on, and that was pretty great.
Yeah.
He had whirlwind arms.
Who knew?
What else can I say? It's awesome.
It's just a fun episode, really well drawn.
Yeah.
Just a pleasure to look at.
Yeah, totally.
And I mean, Dolltakki gets turned into a doll as well, so isn't
That's what it is. Yeah, Dolltakki and Pan get thrown into that little bucket thingy.
They don't get thrown. Somebody, like, Dr. Mew, like, opens the window, and that blows them across the castle into specifically this one area.
There's like vase. This, and then like that turns out where every doll has been kept. It's just like a little vase. Like, that's kind of weird. And then the vase is somehow magically connected to the
robot who's now moving. So it's like, how is it?
So it could still get its power together, whatever. I wish like the third transformation was going to be like a transformation, not just him turning red. Because he looked like a baby. It would have been cool if he looked like, I don't know, anything else.
Looked like the statue or something. Yeah.
Or maybe, yeah.
He's red, like Super Saiyan God hair, and he's the god of destruction. So
You're reaching.
You know what I liked a lot about this episode and the one before it is that, like, in past episodes we got a podcast, the past 2 recap or review episodes that we've done, our synopses got pretty long because every episode we were dealing with a whole new rule set of stuff to go over. But here it's like we had the rule set in place, and then it was just like existing in that world for a couple episodes and just like letting something be more action packed and not having to worry about like, oh, let's learn all this new stuff again and again and again. Like, let's just
this
play
feels
it out.
like the first arc, like an actual story, like a progression.
Yeah,
and it is kind of interesting how this is all leading up to like Baby, like Dr. Mew is introduced, and that's obviously him. So yeah, it's kind of cool.
It's good stuff. It's a good episode. It's just fun and action, and also introducing, Dr. Mew, which is kind of a big deal. But that's pretty much that. Anybody else got anything they want to say before we move on to 14?
No, I am looking forward to see if Yamamuro shows up in any future episodes because I don't remember if he does or not.
So who wants to take episode 14? Did I do this last one or did you, Ken?
I did because Doug passed it off to me.
I don't want to read. I don't want to read.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm not going to force you. I'll read it.
I want to box.
That's right. You've got your job. I can't believe I'm trying to take that away from you. Episode 14. Get the rhythm perfect? The strategy to defeat Lood. Pan awakens inside Lood and rallies all of the Lood followers to revolt against Dolltakki and escape. Pan and the Parapara brothers extract the secret to defeating Lood from Dolltakki, but they'll require Goku's help on the outside. The Parapara brothers lend their strange abilities by sending a telepathic message to Goku so they can time their attack to defeat Lood and free the prisoners. Unfortunately, Goku doesn't have the rhythm when counting down, and after several failed attempts, they decide to recount food dishes so Goku can keep his mind on the rhythm, synchronizing their attacks and ending Lood's reign of terror while also freeing Pan and the rest. But now, Dolltakki has escaped.
As this episode opened up, my wife has not been watching these episodes with me, so she's just been coming in and out. She's watched Dragon Ball Z, and like almost all of Super. God rest her soul.
Wow.
That's not the right phrase. God bless her soul. God bless her soul.
Super was the first and last thing she saw.
It killed her.
Yeah.
We're gonna get through the series if it kills me.
As Dolltakki is floating towards Pan with the kissy face, she goes, "What's up with this show? Isn't she 9?"
Yep.
Pan rules though. She kills it in this episode.
She's like, "Let's revolt!" Like, gets all these people who previously were brainwashed by this cult to be like,
"I can't hear you."
So then she's like threatening Dolltakki and just like this very sadistic face with like the undershading and everything.
It was so relieving to see her immediately just beat the crap out of him as soon as she gains consciousness.
Payback for making me have to be inside Pan's head for that one line.
Yeah. Also, Para Brothers are back in a big way. And man, I love these guys.
Yes. God, they're so great.
Yeah. I love that they actually have a purpose. They found a way to help. They're not just there, you know?
Right? They're doing a dance to make Dolltakki, like, you know, do a dance, but then also, like, they'll ask him questions and he has to answer.
What are your hobbies?
He's like collecting dolls.
How do we get out of here? Like, the big cell up on the roof. It's like, oh.
And, you know, I'm sure we're in for a series of, like, well, that just happened moments, you know, in GT.
Right.
But this one where they're like, oh yeah, we have telepathic abilities. I'm like, I guess that kind of makes sense. You have like, you can control people's bodies into dancing, so it's not that far-fetched.
Yeah.
I mean, Goku can read people's minds inexplicably, so who am I to say you can't have telepathic?
Only on Namek.
Yeah.
Only on Namek. Doo-wah. Man. They're singing. Just, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
When we learn about the cell thing and that it's actually a mutant made by Dr. Mew, I wrote mutations. That's biotechnology.
What's biotechnology?
That's genetic engineering.
Trunks can learn stuff from this guy. That's exciting.
Great. I do love how like Goku's his countdown was like food, but
of course it is.
It's an alien world. None of them know what the food he's saying, and Pan never says it's food. He's like Pan's just like, okay, let's do this. Like, you know, I like that little detail.
I was worried when they named all that stuff off. I'm like, they're just gonna be like, yeah, we know what that is, even though they're from an alien species, but they do be like, what even is that?
Yeah,
like, you wouldn't know, and I'm glad that the writers remembered that they wouldn't know either.
In Chozenshu 4, which I'm pointing at back here, in Chozenshu 4. They have what's called, like, I think it's the World Dictionary, and it's just like different concepts that exist in Dragon World and everything. And one of the concepts in there is this, what is it? Pork bowl, tempura bowl, chicken and egg bowl.
Really?
Is a term, and then it's like, yeah, this was used to help Goku count down.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. But then that ruins our whole excitement thinking that they don't know what it is. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it's in this. It was important enough in this out of series glossary of terms.
Right.
It's not something that.
Oh, I gotcha. This is the one thing that, like, it just makes me realize how in not just GT, but in almost all media, that starts off like people on Earth, and then they go into space, and then every planet they go to, that planet is aware of different galaxies and universes. So whenever they say you gotta save they don't say you have to save the world, you have to save the galaxy. You're like, I'm gonna conquer the galaxy, you know. But then we come back on Earth, and it's just like, we have to save Earth, we have to save the world. You know, do you know what I mean? It's very like closed-minded when you're on Earth, but then when you travel out to space, then everyone knows that there's a galaxy in space out there.
Well, not everyone. When you reach planets that don't have warp capabilities, you have to follow the Prime Directive, Doug.
All right. Star Trek. I get
you. He knew it.
You knew what I was talking about, so who's the nerd now?
I have to be on some level to it. Yeah, you're right.
Nozawa is just always a masterclass in acting, but I really think the way that she nervously is unable to count down is, I think, some of her finest acting in her entire career as this character.
She's ever done that before. That was new for Goku.
It's incredible.
It was so good. Even though it kind of went on longer than I felt that it needed to. And also I was like, I would get it if it's an individual, like, small ball blast, but, like, these are continuous beams. You don't gotta time nothing. Just keep holding it for a bit.
Keep holding it. I didn't think about that.
This is a situation where the writers knew they could rely on the charm of the characters involved.
Yes.
Right? The whole stuff with the Para brothers is so great. The stuff with, Nozawa's acting as Goku is so just perfect that, maybe in any other situation, maybe in the dub, it goes on too long. But here, I think playing it as a series of threes, so like the first first two attempts fail and the third attempt works. That's like
that's why I felt it went on too long, because 3 attempts fails. The fourth one, I'm like, rule of threes. You got to do this on the third one.
Oh,
so I felt
they do it on the third one.
Long.
I don't remember 3.
Fourth, because they do.
In my notes
here,
we start off with ready, set, go, and then we go 1, 2, 3, and then we do
Randy's
the purple temperable.
No,
they do 1, 2, 3.
They do 1, 2, 3 twice.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, Randy's right.
Yeah.
Well, they do 3 different concepts.
Okay.
The rule of 3 concepts.
Yeah.
We both win that one. I'll take that as a draw.
All right, we both won trivia.
It is like a fun idea kind of thing. It felt like I was watching that special where you had that phone that you call Trunks and like you pick the 1, 2, 3, or 4 kind of thing. It's like a fun little game.
Yeah, it's true. It's fun. It's just fun. You know what? That's what's been great about this. It's all been fun. So they defeat. They do it. They blow them up, and then everybody's free.
Doesn't make sense visually how that works, but whatever.
So we saw, Pan, Dolltakki, the Par brothers, and then all of the Lood worshippers. But where were like those other people who got sacrificed?
Oh yeah, the random other aliens that
plot hole.
They gave them the outfit too because they're now supporters of Lood.
Yeah,
if Pan was in there for another day, she would have gotten one too.
Yeah.
Should help.
Which actually doesn't make sense because when they got released,
held out.
You remember Pan almost was forced to dress like Chi-Chi, and then when she was sent to the Lood thing, she went back in her regular clothes.
I wrote that Pan's doll soul keeps her original hair.
Yes.
She's got like the buns, but then her soul leaves, and it's got
it's her again. Yeah,
it's part of her identity.
And I couldn't tell when Goku got the 6-star ball back, but because the subtitles were covering it up, but it might have been the wrong 6-star ball again. Plot hole.
They're messing it
balls.
Up. Yeah.
Oh no.
There's actually 8 Dragon Balls.
Deal breaker.
Or one of them's a fake. We've got.
Keep watching to find out.
Yeah, we've got one more episode here. Ken, do you want to take us or take a drink first? That's okay. It's all right.
All right. Now I'm all ready for my podcasting.
Yeah.
Me.
Episode 15. I'm running away. Pan's desertion. As the crew rockets towards their next Dragon Ball, Pan learns that Trunks wants to go back to Earth to swap her out for Goten as originally planned. After landing on a desert planet surrounded by many suns, Pan runs away on her own while a large antlion attacks the ship, breaking the water fuel tank. And this is where we learned it was a water fuel tank, I believe, which...
Yeah.
Anyways,
what kind of science Back to the Future type shit is that?
That's Bulma stuff, dude. Dolltakki arrives to speak face-to-face with Dr. Mew to try and talk his way out of punishment, only to be killed by General Rild, a faithful underling to Dr. Mew, who sets his sight on the Dragon Balls and capturing Goku and the others. Back on the desert planet, Giru saves a lost Pan from an antlion attack, finds an oasis, and their third Dragon Ball. As the gang gathers around the oasis to refuel and relax, Trunks apologizes to Pan and says they are all friends who will go on this adventure as a team.
The unity.
I liked this episode a lot because we've had this sort of like 5, 6, 7 episode arc going on with, the Para brothers and Mochi Mochi and then all this stuff. So then having one where it's just a one-off episodic thing is really good. We're focusing more on Pan, which is great because she's a relatively new character and got stuff to develop. And like we open up with some everyday life on the ship, just like Pan cooking, Giru roasting her for the lack of flavor and other such things. But it's from a place of love because he wants to make sure it's delicious. I'm like, oh man, I love this robot. Like, I didn't like him before. And nutritious.
Nutritious. Right. I think he learns later, though, that he's just like, oh, no, whatever makes Pan less mad will make me happy because there's less danger.
You could read that in a couple of different ways. You'd be like, look, I just don't want this chick being pissy around me. Or it could be like, it makes me happy when she's not mad. You know?
Oh, well, Giro did call her friend, friend, didn't he? Yeah. That was cute.
I hope nothing ever happens with him.
Yeah, that'd be real bad. You didn't watch the next episode preview, right?
I do watch those, actually.
Damn it.
This is the second episode, and I think the only other episode to be conceptually set against a background of Toriyama designed.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're just like in the desert heat.
And do they ever name this planet in the episode? Because the planet... And I don't think they named Planet Monmath either. Monmath?
They did in the show.
Yeah,
this one, I don't recall them actually naming it.
So it's Planet like Rudays or something. Sorry if that's
What's
a trivia
that a pun
question.
on?
I have no idea. And I hope that's not a trivia question.
I'll be honest, I haven't read it yet.
Oh, no.
So we'll find out together.
I gotta admit, this episode put me to sleep. Like, I was dozing off.
Really?
Yeah, it's just not doing it for it. Felt like filler. So it's just like Pan's going off on her own. I did appreciate the intro stuff with Pan again, just reinforcing that she feels that sense of, I'm an adult and I should be treated as one. And then like a minute later starts crying in the ship when the ant lion starts spitting sand everywhere.
Yeah, because she's not an adult. Yeah, as much as she wants to, she is only 9 years old. As much as she wants to tell herself an adult, she's not equipped for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
but she's not learning that lesson of like, oh, I'm not actually
right. No, she's not.
Adult.
I like that she's got a character arc though, and that we're seeing where she's going, and it's like something consistent in this show, which is like Super is like, well, we're in a mid-quel status, so we can't really do anything too much with anyone here. Whereas this show, we didn't know where we were going to end up.
Right. I was gonna say that. I was going to make a complaint that we're at this point and we're only finding our third Dragon Ball, and it feels like it's taking way longer than I want it to, because I'm thinking of the first arc of Dragon Ball, where it's like 13 episodes and we've got all 7 and we're doing the Pilaf stuff and we're already out of there. We're on episode 15 and we've only done 3, but then I remember this is a lot faster than the Red Ribbon arc, which took way too long.
Well, hey, Randy, speaking of the Red Ribbon arc.
Yeah.
Don't you like it when Tao Pai Pai kills General Blue?
Yeah, man. That's always good stuff.
Feels familiar somehow.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys thought of that too.
Right. I mean, it I guess solidifies him as a threat, even though Dolltakki was not a fighter. So it's
it's just a simple anime, or I think anything trope, where it's just like, oh, the main antagonist of this episode, this next one just kills him instantly without any trouble, kind of deal. So what's there to come?
I was real worried because he blasts him in the face, and then there's that last shot where it's reeled from the back, like talking to Dr. Mew, and the camera keeps panning out. I'm like, okay,
there.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, there's his foot. There's more of his body. Oh God, are we gonna see his missing head? And like the camera stops just like for his jaw, so it's like, okay, is it the top of his head that got blown apart or something?
This episode felt distinctly anti-Toriyama. In that, like, a character is going off on like a internal struggle that they're having. Didn't feel like something he would do. How dark the scene with like Dolltakki's corpse still just being there as Rild is having a conversation. Just nothing about this really felt like this would ever be something Toriyama would pen.
Well, I was having trouble just seeing Pan like just look like she's about to die. Like she's on the sand, just like running out of water, and just like she looks almost dead. It was crazy.
And then like even when Giru brings her the water, and then it's like played in such like a serious and like desperate way, and it's like suddenly I felt like it wasn't bad, right? It was still, I still felt like maybe this is the like. Functionally, this is maybe the weakest of the 5 that we watched, which I still think is the best batch of these series, of these episodes that we've watched in this series. But there's nothing bad about this episode. I feel it feels like intentionally and distinctly anti-Toriyama to me.
I guess hearing that, I'm like, yeah, you know what? It kind of is. Actually, it super is.
Why it feels like filler.
But at the same time, I freaking love this episode. Like, I liked that sort of tone that everything took, the seriousness, this desperation, because, like, I don't know, in this kind of, in this situation, you're stuck on a desert and you don't know how to get back and you're running out of water. Like, it's not going to go great for you, probably.
Shirtless Trunks didn't hurt either, right?
There's so much sweaty topless Trunks in this episode,
but it made him look short.
they did this on purpose. Like, this is something Toriyama wouldn't have done, but like them at Toei, they're like, look, the ladies watch this. There's this guy, Randy. He's probably gonna like it.
He loves it. Speaking of like clothes coming off, it made me remember from a previous episode when Goku was like taunting Lood by like taking his pants down and slapping his butt.
He's still wearing underwear. I'm like, he should have been butt naked.
He should have been butt naked. We've seen him butt naked already, and that is the insult, because like also Trunks does it against Broly in like the second Broly movie, and like, okay, why didn't I don't know. It doesn't feel very.
I was like, cowards, show me that child's butt.
We can see his dick, but we can't see his ass. All right.
In 1995, they passed legislation that if you're going to have a character spanking in anime, they have to be wearing underwear, even if they otherwise show up naked in the show. That's just, everyone knows that. Come on, guys.
It's just Japan. I'm sorry.
Right. I forgot about that. The Accords. The butt Accords.
The butt Accords.
But that also like solidifies how the dragon turned Goku back into a kid, not just physically, but also mentally. Like, he still had all his memory of his adult life and all that, but his brain and everything, how he treats the world, is all kiddie again. So it's what I like that.
So this episode looked pretty good. It's no Uchiyama stuff, but there were some very specific things that I'm like, what the fuck are we even doing here? Like, there was that one shot, the tornado. What was that? It wasn't animated. It was just one doodly truck. They just moved along.
It was Missing No from Pokemon. Just like glitched across the screen.
Also, most times there's water. Nobody bothered to animate this water. Like, just put sparkles. Sparkles, that's water. We don't need to animate water, physics, none of that.
I kind of like that. The sparkles.
As a stylistic choice here and there, sure. But like at every other time. And there was like one shot where like it was Pon had been passed out and like Giru splashed water on her. It's like, hey, water droplets. We know how to draw those now. That's pretty cool. Also, like, I felt like the sand at times. I'm like, is this just a photo? Like,
yeah, the part where it's Pan's footprints in the ground.
Yeah,
I looked at that and I'm like, this is either like really, really well painted or this is a photograph.
Yeah. It was so strange.
Maybe I passed out during the middle of it because I remember this episode looking great. Like, I'm like, yeah, everything looks solid.
No. The character art, great. Everything else was weird.
Oh, okay.
Well, and then there's that one scene where with Rild, and they pull up the stock footage, like the security camera footage of Goku and Trunks, and it's from the Uchiyama episode. I'm like,
yes.
You just had this killer Yamamuro episode. Use something from that.
Well, I mean, production-wise, maybe the Yamamuro episode wasn't done yet, so they couldn't pull from that to do it. Who knows?
Repurpose Zunima episodes then. The second one. You're in a cave there. It doesn't matter.
That's true. Man, this episode just made me love Giru so much. Like, showing up to save Pon, super great dude, defeated an antlion on his own, found the third Dragon Ball on his own, found an oasis. He's like, this guy's great to have around. He's the best.
He's really endearing, and it's funny because like he's annoying as hell in the dub.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Glitter like that.
Ooh.
And
yeah.
I feel for me, it's just a notch below that. He's still annoying to me though.
Yeah, but in a charming way.
Yeah, he's supposed to be. So yeah, they're doing a good job.
This like Trunks even explicitly says it, but like now I feel like we are a crew. And
yeah. And then the narrator hops in after that. They finally feel a unity between each other. All right, we get it.
No, this isn't filler because it's important character development and team building. So
no, the more rational thing is to take Pan home. There's obviously a big threat coming along.
No,
she's 9 years old.
She couldn't beat an antlion, but she can take out robots,
a general, and a scientist.
Yeah.
I mean, Goku could, but it's just a different character. I don't know.
I like her too much. I wouldn't want her to see her go. And this episode solidified that. Just like, I don't know. It's good. I like it. Anything else on episode 15? This batch of episodes you guys want to say?
Just fantastic.
That Oasis look cool.
Yeah,
fantastic. Doug, what did you say?
The oasis looked cool. Like it was like it looked really refreshing. All that water.
I want to go. It's in the
I
middle
like Japan, which is kind of like skirting on the water, chasing Goku around. That was kind of fun.
It's the middle of summer right now, so like that place does look pretty dope.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I'm like hot right now, so I'm like, yeah, water, please.
I think this is going to be the 5 episodes that we'll have to compare everything else against. Can anything else beat the consistent quality of these 5 episodes that we just watched? I mean, there's no avoiding Uchiyama. He's going to pop up everywhere, but
it's true.
I don't think, unless like the baby fight is really cool going down the line, or for some reason we all go crazy and we love Super 17.
It'd be fun to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still more partial to the first 5 episodes. Just that feeling it gave me of, oh, this is fun and new but still familiar kind of feeling.
Yeah, I get that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of on Ken's side of like we're gonna be comparing stuff to these 5 because they were consistently great. Uchiyama notwithstanding, he did as good as he could for these 5. Even he showed up. He didn't phone it in.
Clocked in.
Yeah. So look, we've been doing 5 episodes for the last few, and taking a look, and it would be kind of a long ways to go because 5 episodes would leave us in a kind of a bad spot. And also, the Kanzenshu podcast didn't do the next 5; they did 16 to 18, and we're going to do that and a grand problem.
Yes.
So, which you don't have to, Doug. It's extra
grand problem.
That's the recap that they did.
Oh, the lost episode
of the first
recap?
16 episodes, yeah. And I mostly want to watch it just to be able to speak to how they skipped through everything. Yeah. And also just kind of check in with the whole Mensa and dub of it all and see where how god awful that is. Maybe I'll come, next episode be like, man, this Tokunaga track and was really used well here. Once I set my standards lower by watching Mensa,
I'm telling you, it's that narrator, that serious, super serious tone. It sets the tone for the show, and it sets it wrong.
Well, they just knew GT better than we did. So.
That's true.
They did.
Who were we to say what GT is?
How would they know better if they lost the episodes and they just found it, and then whatever
at a convenient time for marketing purposes?
Yeah.
So a grand problem.
Nostalgia for that DVD cover that you put for like the lost episode, the first one. Like, whoa, they're bringing back to like 2005 or 6 or whatever. I'm like, when I could finally have disposable money on my own, like I want that. I need that.
It's grand problem was after 16, right? So we'd have one more episode to watch and then a grand problem.
Pan's Gambit is the first episode of GT.
I'm intense.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. I'm excited for that because I've never seen that. I don't think I've seen like one episode partially dubbed, and that's because it was on in the break room at Target when I worked there. Like,
oh man, it's a. Oof.
Sorry if that's how you love GT. It's just
I'm gonna save my judgment until I hear it again because who knows?
That's fair. I have very fuzzy memories, so we'll see how that goes. But for right now, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. We've got trivia. We've got your thoughts. There's more of this show left to go, so stick around. Hey, welcome back. And we've got some fun stuff from you guys. Tweets, your thoughts on some things. So put out a tweet. We said we're 1 episode shy of being through the Funimation marketed as the lost episodes of GT. Do you think they made the right call, skipping straight to episode 17, or should Dolltakki's obsession with Pan have made it to primetime Toonami? Let us know. Ken, would you tell us what Sean had to say?
Yeah, Sean at Kaboom Crusader with a K on Crusader there on Twitter says they should have aired the Grand Tour arc in its proper order from episode 1, but also skipped Dolltakki. I don't think anyone would have objected.
I forget what the dub. I'm sure the dub has to have a different line for that whole thing entirely. I wonder what that's like. Not that I'm gonna go check, but I wonder.
Yeah, I've already stated I'm never watching that episode again. So
so
I love Dolltakki, so I guess since I'm the Dolltakki stan, I'll have to go.
He's
watch
like, I can
part.
relate. I'm like, whoa.
I mean, he gets his just dues, so.
Yeah.
In the end, it's all right. Well, the series of events played out the way it should have. So.
Yeah. And nothing ever happened to Pan, thankfully, besides trauma.
Dolltakki gets killed, and we see his corpse live on television.
Oh my God. They make sure it's there for us to see.
Yeah, it's a morality lesson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So in response to Dolltakki, Doug, you've got a response here to take.
From Dan Harden. It's just an image from Azumanga Daioh that says, "Kill him." She's just looking chill, just kill him.
Yeah. Rild's got your back. He took care of that for you.
So far, I'm on Team Rild, so.
Rild did nothing wrong. Changed my mind. And we've got Jacob Sawyer here says, my initial reaction is that it would have been okay. The Boo arc has some callbacks to the OG goofiness of Dragon Ball, so it wouldn't be any weirder than anything else. It does suffer from some pacing issues. However, anyone who suffered through the endless replaying of the Namek episodes on Toonami would be used to some slow pacing. GT is charming, but I haven't watched the dub, so I don't know if there's a loss of charm there.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure.
Guys, stop being so negative. Some people love this stuff, and we don't want to be mean about it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to take into account the momentum of the series, how it went from like the Cell games at the peak, kind of down to the Boo saga. They didn't want to keep it going down by starting GT with those first 16 episodes, especially going like I think it was a week by week. No, I think they aired it once a weekday, wasn't it? Or was it?
I thought it was weekly. I thought it was like on Saturdays.
Yeah, I think
maybe
right before Adult Swim,
which would be even worse. Yeah, it was just like to get through 16 weeks of this kind of stuff. From a business standpoint, I see that they made the right call.
I'm torn. I think they should have kept it, but also some of the stuff, the Dolltakki stuff, Zunama, combine that to one episode. Like do the first 53 or whatever the heck you did with Z, and just like we'll just chop and screw this thing together, and we'll make something good that all the kids will love.
Yeah.
I wonder if the Grand Tour or the Grand Problem ever even aired on TV.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that for how it aired, because it was on Toonami. I don't know if they'd aired the lost episodes or they just did. We should have researched this before we asked this question, Ken. This is on you.
We're covering that next episode, Randy. We'll have all the data ready at that point.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident they did, because that's how... Oh, no, I did buy the DVDs, so that's maybe how I saw them. I was thinking, how else would I know about them? But no, I did buy the DVDs when they came out.
Anyway, YouTube comment, Ken.
Yeah, so we had a comment on the YouTube actually just today from our first episode, our first rewatch session, so episodes 1 through 5. At SS Vic Perez says, watching this and just want to say, first of all, thank you for watching. Dragon Ball GT's music is great. I love the JRPG feel of it, which I think we've kind of talked about. It's kind of
that's how I felt in the beginning.
Quest. And he says, also around 15 episodes in, which we're at now, you'll start to see the soundtrack evolve a bit, and they start bringing in Tokunaga's score from Path to Power into the series. And that's something I did notice with episode 15, was all of a sudden there was a slew of new music. And so I wanted to ask you two, who have recently-ish, more recent than I have, watched Path of Power, did you recognize any of this? Did any of it sound familiar?
I might have recognized the quality of it. I did notice, like, oh, this, like you were saying earlier, this sounds good. It's misplaced, but sounds good.
I'm not one to remember background music tracks that much unless I watched it a lot. And granted, it's been like 2 years since we watched Path to Power, so it's been a bit too long for it to have stuck in my memory. But now I'm kind of curious to just hop back in and be like, oh, okay, yeah, they did use that. Okay, neat. Okay.
And it's cool to know that, like, this has always been kind of a legacy thing that Dragon Ball series have done, where they like Metal Kula's music in the fantastic Dragon Ball Z movie 6 was used as like Cell's theme in the series, and then Doug, don't worry about it. And then like Path to Power here being used in GT, Battle of Gods soundtrack being used in Bukai, and then I think also some in Super as well. So stuff from the movies always being repurposed for the series. But I did notice in this episode there were some more like emotional sounding tracks. And I had gone into episode 15 after already reading this comment today, so I was like, oh, maybe I could see. And I was trying to place like where would this have been used in Path of Power, but not having seen Path to Power since I was probably a wee lad, I really couldn't place it.
But you watched it as a wee lad in Japanese with the Japanese score, or?
Back in the day, even during my dubby days, when I would buy a DVD, I didn't have a lot of money as a little kid on allowance, when I would buy it, I would watch it dubbed first. Of course, come on, Stephanie Nadolny, that's where it's at. Sean Schemmel, that's what I need in my life. And then
put it in my veins.
And then because I've got this DVD, well, like let me go watch the Japanese version. And then I would watch it again in dubbed, but with the Japanese subtitles set to it, so I could see how screwed up everything was. Because even
fellow man of culture, I see.
Yeah.
I wish they had that Namekian track on all the DVDs. That would have been really great.
God, the Namekian track.
No, we don't have the Namekian players.
That's right, but still, it would have been nice to have as a bonus.
Hey, we got to find the Namekian player, man. Someone's gonna have that.
Let's get on a spaceship. We're going to Namek.
Onward.
So, you guys ready to go to trivia time?
Can I use my notes? Because I started writing down like random things. Like anytime they would say like a number or there'd be like like some letters on a sign or something, I wrote them down just in case because I knew I threw the gauntlet down with Senpai last time.
Oh, that's right. You told him to make it harder.
Yeah.
You son of a bitch. I complete opposite here. In my mind, I didn't think about that at all. I'm like, nope, just having a good time watching this show. Oh, God, questions.
Mm-hmm. So we're here. We're in Zenpai's trivia corner. Thanks again, Zenpai, for giving us this trivia and taking the load off of my shoulders for having to write these. So, question 1, as we normally do, raise your hand, ding, whatever it is. If you're first,
I'm going to raise my Panchan.
Yeah, you can do that.
Is that all right? Okay.
Doug, you just want to knock over your tower of figures?
We're going to raise our Panchans. And that's
we got our Panchans.
We got our Panchans.
All right.
I'll guarantee you'll never see my Panchan.
Panchan's down. Get ready. Question 1. Just like the last batch, yet another of the 5 episodes we all watched for the specific podcast was based entirely on one of the very few pieces of GT concept art drawn by Akira Toriyama himself. Which episode was it, Ken?
Yeah, episode 15. That's -1 point for Zenpai because we covered it. Every time we cover a trivia question in the discussion, that's -1 point for Zenpai.
Zenpai, you got to keep track of your own minus points.
Which will come in handy when we get to the minus energy later on.
It's true.
Oh my God!
You can summon the evil trivia dragon and set him against these two.
Nega Shenlong.
So, question 2. So far, it's -1 Zenpai, 0 to 0, 1 for Ken. Sorry, it's all in good fun, Zenpai. I love you. Question 2. Throughout the 15 episodes you watched so far, how many times did Goku and Trunks turn Super Saiyan? Ooh, Doug.
You mean together, or just Goku this and then Trunks this?
That one.
Okay. So Goku has done it. I'm gonna say 3 times. Trunks twice.
In these 5 episodes?
In the 15 we've watched.
In all of them.
Okay, so then can I go now? Was Doug right or is he wrong?
You can tell me I'm wrong, and then you can go ahead.
Doug, you got a point.
No way, I got the numbers right.
Goku turned 3 times, once against Redict, once against Muchi, and another during the fight against Lood. Trunks turned twice, one to break the tiles set onto him by Muchi.
The Spider-Man moment.
And another during the fight against Lood for a total of 5 times.
I would have gotten that one wrong anyway, so congratulations, Doug.
Thank you, Panchan. Thank you.
See? You were wrong, Doug. You did bring her up. Question 3. What is the source pun of Dolltakki's name? Ken.
Doll and otaku.
Yeah, you got it.
I wasn't sure about that last part. I kept thinking of like Taki, the snacks you eat. Takis.
Oh.
No one else?
Yeah, I know what those are. Big in Japan.
Huge.
He says, this one's for Doug. So, Doug, be ready.
Ouch. Okay.
I'm scared.
There's a character in Dragon Ball Super that is very clearly inspired by Lood's design. Which one is it? Just tips over his figures.
I don't know.
Doug, walk through this in your head, knowing that Toyotaro designed some characters in Super.
Repeat the question again. Okay, so what character we're looking at?
There's a character in Dragon Ball Super that is very clearly inspired by Lood's design. Which one
Lood's
is
design?
Yeah.
Nope. I don't have the faintest ideas. Would it be a character that I would know from the series?
From the anime, yes.
Okay. Oh, there is one in there?
Doug, I'll give you a hint.
Is it in the Tournament of Power? Like one of the mechas? Like they join forces to like the Power Ranger type thing? Or no?
No, you're thinking of like the Anileza guys? No.
Probably. There's someone else in there? No, I don't remember.
I mean,
Ken is half raising his pond, so
no, I will raise it to the sky. My panchan to the sky. Moscow.
Yes. Do you know what universe he is the god of destruction of?
9?
No way.
3.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. That was not part of the question, though. So
No.
that was a random.
That was just as Moscow.
Now that you mention it's one of the god of destructions, I can totally see him now. Oh, I never put that together. That's pretty cool.
Moscow has a little dude inside him.
Wow.
I don't remember the dude's name. It was probably like Mule or something like that.
So he made him a god of destruction.
Basically,
Legit.
yeah.
Ah, that's so fun.
Dude, let me tell you, this Toyotaro guy, Doug, he's got a whole manga of great
he's a
ideas
fan.
like this that you should check out.
If you loved that, you're gonna love the manga.
I've never felt such elation in a Dragon Ball before. Guys, where else can I get some kind of similar feeling?
Doug, you canceled our get together this coming weekend because
I will be with my manga. Yes,
you with
and
your
my mom.
Yeah, I was really expecting you to say mom.
Yeah, I'll be with my manga in this trying time. So you're gonna be with your mother, which we all wish her well.
Thank you. She'll be fine.
But that means that you're gonna be amongst the manga, so you need to at least give it a shot. I'm gonna call your mom and be like, if you don't tell him to just read one volume,
she'll be like, "Who is this?" in Spanish, even though she speaks full English.
That'd be a wild trip. All right, next question for you guys. Who gets Dragon Ball GT's first kill? First blood. Ken.
Trunks?
Yes. Who does he kill?
Against the whip guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes.
Is that -1 for Zenpai because I mentioned that already?
Well, you did that off camera.
I did that off camera. You're right.
Break. Who killed Mochi then? How did Mochi die?
That was when
the lion.
When Leon exploded, also took out Muchimochi.
It was the dumbest. It was Goku then, huh?
But that wasn't a person. That was just his extension.
That was Rox.
Form.
Yeah,
Rox
just a mutant who I guess we're not considering people.
He happened to be standing close enough to the lion dog thingy, and then Mochi exploded, but not the whip.
Right?
Wasn't he holding the whip? Whatever. The whip's stronger. I guess.
The whip is strong. The whip's the one with the big key because Muchimochi is just a puppet.
I don't feel good about taking that point.
Okay, well,
because then we consider that mutants aren't people, and I don't feel good about that.
Yeah, we don't want to. This not going to age well.
Yeah, we don't want to make a stance now. Who knows how this will turn out in the future? All right, final question: which character was designed by someone who was clearly in the middle of a Dragon Ball manga read through, and specifically in the Android arc? Which character was designed by someone? Okay, which character was designed by someone who was clearly in the middle of a Dragon Ball manga read through? All right.
Well, this is -1 point for Zenpai again because we already talked about Dr. Mew looking just like Dr. Jiro.
That one's almost too obvious. I didn't even think about it.
So if you're keeping score, Zenpai -3 points this time. Make them harder. Doug loves it when they're harder.
That was fun though. That was really fun.
Zenpai becoming this off-screen member of We Got a Podcast who just gets ragged on for these trivia questions.
I feel bad.
This is the beginning of his evil arc. He's gonna
That's true.
I'm telling you, he's storing up minus energy.
Thank you, Zenpai, for that trivia. I love it. Super appreciate it.
Super fun. Thank you, man.
And you know what? That's gonna close us out, guys. Again, if you want to continue on this adventure with us for the next episode, we're going to watch episodes 16 through 18 of GT. So you could also watch the Grand Problem. You could do that too.
That'll cover it all.
We're going to talk about it, whether you watch it or not.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. We love interacting with you and keeping you in the loop with us, talking about our favorite franchise in the world. You can tweet at us at WeGotAPod, and you can email us at WeGotAPod@gmail.com. Doug is holding figures rather than reading the
Doug
thing
forgot this is also an audio podcast.
I was so used to listening to a podcast. I'm like, yeah, this is him wrapping it up. So, oh no, I have a thing.
I'm on the show. Oops.
Thank you to Rifti Beats for letting us use his track, Kakarot Theme Hip Hop Trap Remix. You can find that track and other great music by Rifti on his SoundCloud. Ken, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at Detective X, and something clever that I was going to say, but I forgot what it was. So find me there as well.
Whoops. Randy?
You can find me at Saber_Breaker. Doug?
And you can find me at Jabaz Doug.
All right, guys. It's time to hit that subscribe button. You're here. You're watching. I know we're getting more views on these live action episodes than we have subscribers. So it's time to commit, guys. I mean, we're doing this whole series. So jump on the ride.
See more unboxings.
You know, you don't have to watch GT. We're watching GT for you, and we're talking about it.
Doesn't get better than that.
We're breaking it apart. You know, we may not be as positive as we were this week, and so you can thank us later by hitting subscribe right now. You can also leave us a review. Leave us comments on YouTube, as you see with SS Vic Perez. He went Super Saiyan, and we read his comment here.
Exactly.
Because it had some kind of like evergreen relevance to stuff that we're talking about. So leave comments. We're going to talk about stuff. We might even join in the replies and talk to you there. Hit us up on Twitter. Talk to us all different sorts of places. Tell your mom. You know, Doug's going to tell his mom when he sees her. He's going to make sure she's listening. So hello, Doug's mom. Hola.
There it is. And La Puebla.
Mama de Doug.
When you say it fast like that, it sounds like a song. Mama de Doug.
Mama de Doug. All right, before I go too far. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, let's end the episode on that.
Catch you later.